Welcome back, Endgame community. I'm Pierre, he's Chris. We're here to go game by game, break down all the wide receivers that matter for fantasy football, tell you who should be in your lineup and who shouldn't. Before we get to each game, let's talk about those wide receivers you don't even have to think about. They are must starts. Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, and Michael Pittman if he plays. All right, the first game of week 3 will be the Steelers and the Browns on Thursday night. So that Steeler passing attack just wasn't that great. I'm just going to be honest, wasn't that great in week 2. How do you feel about their main guy like Deontay Johnson?
Yeah, I think Deontay Johnson's a guy you have to start most weeks. He's getting the target share. Doesn't have a huge ceiling, but has a safe floor. So I think you got to start Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, and look, I know the fans calling for Kenny Pickett already. It's not going to change. Trubisky is fine, right? I don't think he's the only problem there. And Deontay is a guy you can pretty much rely on. So I'm okay starting Deontay Johnson. Not so much with Chase Claypool. Like I knew this might be a tough season for him for various reasons, and I don't feel like I can put him in my lineup.
No, definitely cannot start Chase Claypool.
And then it would be really a stretch, but George Pickens?
No, I mean, he's running clear number 3 in this offense, and there's not enough here for 3 guys yet, so no to George Pickens.
Yeah, look, a talented guy, but it's just not in the cards maybe this season, so that's why you can't get too carried away on draft day with preseason performance and hype. So no to George Pickens. And on the Browns side, Amari Cooper, after being quiet week 1, had a huge week 2. How do you feel about him against the Steelers?
Yeah, don't think he's going to do that again, but I think he's at least startable as a wide receiver 3.
Yeah, like we saw, at least he's being targeted. He's involved. He's a quality receiver. So, yeah, I do think he's startable. He can do something against these Steelers DBs. And Donovan Peoples-Jones, the opposite. Huge target share week 1, kind of disappeared in week 2. What do you do with him now?
Keep him on your bench. I just don't think you can start Donovan Peoples-Jones, so I'm benching him.
Yeah, agree. He's just kind of a boom bust guy. This isn't necessarily a boom type of week. Look, he could make a big play, but I'm not counting on it, so I will keep him on my bench too. Bills and the Dolphins. So Gabe Davis not playing week 2, but what about week 3? We got to assume he's back because it's just kind of a tweaked ankle. So if he's back, you trust him.
I think you have to. I mean, this Miami defense is good, but look, the Ravens just put up a bunch of points on him, so I think Gabe Davis is the type of guy that has so much upside, you have to have him in your lineup pretty much every week.
Yeah, like he's a strong start. He's going to be a pretty strong start almost every week. And like I said, not worried about the ankle. He'll have a full week of rest. And you know what? He's not getting Xavier Howard too much next week. And the rest of that secondary obviously can be exposed. So I think you have to start Gabe Davis next week. Isaiah McKenzie, well, he falls back to the third option. Do you think he could have some success against Miami?
Maybe, but nothing more than kind of a desperation flex play in PPR type of leagues.
Yeah, like even though it's a good offense, you're talking about the third option. Among receivers, it's always going to be very hit or miss, so I would say I'll pass on him too. And then, I know we're not quite there yet. For me, Jalen Waddle, look, you got to start him. Of course, week 2, this is not necessarily going to happen again, but he's so talented. I mean, you got to start him, right?
Yeah, you got to start Jalen Waddle pretty much most weeks.
Bengals going against the Jets. That sounds pretty promising, but man, Joe Burrow has not looked like himself, at least himself from last year. But T. Higgins did have a good week too, so probably can go with him again in week 3.
Yeah, against the Jets, must start T. Higgins.
Yeah, definitely start T. Higgins. Tyler Boyd? It's
a good enough matchup that I think if you need him as a flex in PPR leagues, you can do it, but nothing more than that.
I'm going to pass on Tyler Boyd because, I mean, look, it's been a struggle already just for the Bengals to generate pass offense, and Boyd has not really been targeted as much. Hayden Hurst is kind of cutting into his targets, and I don't feel like it's going to even against the Jets, I don't feel like I can roll with Boyd. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to pass until I see him more involved. And on the Jets side, I mean, you had to pick up or at least make a claim for Garrett Wilson. Hopefully you got him. If you got him, you roll him in your starting lineup.
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, from what we've seen so far, I think you got to start Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, it might be a little early to say he's a league winner, but I mean, he's yet to prove he isn't. So look, you picked him up, You try him out and see what happens. And then Elijah Moore has kind of been the guy who's disappointed because of Garrett Wilson. You feel he bounces back?
I mean, that's the thing. He should, but you just never know. So I'm not going to say a must start. I'm going to say a okay start if you need him, but not a must start.
Yeah, I've been really surprised that Moore hasn't gotten more targets. Wilson is the real deal. Moore is still a great receiver, but I guess Joe Flacco just prefers the rookie. So I'll say Moore is still startable. Just, we have to lower the bar a little bit for him in fantasy. And then Corey Davis has actually put up some numbers. He's more of just a vertical threat. Do you feel like you can go with him against the Bengals?
Nah, you need a big play from this guy. He had like 60-something yards on one catch last week and then had one catch for barely anything. So, no, he's boom bust. I'm not playing him.
Yeah, it would only be if you really need him, and it's too early to say that you really need to go with Corey Davis, so I'll pass on him. Okay, the Raiders taking on the Titans. That seems to be a promising matchup for the Raiders. Now, the thing is, you're starting Devontae Adams. Hunter Renfrow would be solid, but he's in the concussion protocol after that hit at the very end of the game on that fumble that cost them the game. So how do you treat Renfrow? Let's assume he is active, clears the protocol. You just put him in your lineup?
Yeah, he's a solid flex in PPR leagues. He's not a guy I feel like I have to start. I know it's a good matchup, but not a guy I feel like I have to start. But if he plays, I think he's a solid flex in PPR leagues.
There you go. Look, because of the matchup, the Titans secondary does not scare me, so I feel like Renfrow is startable. He's a decent start. And then the rookies on Tennessee side here, let's start with Treylon Burks. You feel like you can put him in your lineup?
He's getting there. I'm not going to say he's, a must start yet, but he's a guy that's getting closer and closer to being that way. So I'm going to say he's a good start if you need him.
Agree with you there. I'm a Burks fan. I'd like to see a bigger target share, but yeah, I feel like you could go with Burks. And then Kyle Phillips, also interesting to me. Did wind up playing week 2. So do you feel like he will be involved against the Raiders? Maybe they have to pass it a lot.
Yeah, not as good as I feel about Hunter Renfrow, but another guy I feel like you can flex in PPR formats if you need him.
Yeah, he's very Hunter Renfrow-esque. It's easy to say that. So, but yeah, this Tennessee pass offense, not quite there, among the elite of the rest of the league. So Phillips, you probably have better options. So I'll say no for now. Saints and the Panthers, Southern Division matchup here. So all 3 receivers for New Orleans have been involved at some different degrees as far as week 1 and 2. And Michael Thomas keeps getting touchdowns. Do you think he keeps it going?
Maybe, but outside of that, he's not really putting up huge numbers. So, I think you have to feel okay about Michael Thomas. You got to probably start Michael Thomas, but just understand that maybe, he is more touchdown dependent than we are used to with Michael Thomas.
Yeah, and with other guys in the mix, it's not necessarily going to be Michael Thomas every week, but he is startable because he's getting targeted in the end zone. He is getting several receptions a game so far, so I feel like you can go with Michael Thomas. I'm not going to say you have to. Landry, huge week 1, disappointing week 2. What happens in week 3?
I don't know, but not a guy I ever really like to start anyways. He's fine, again, like as a flex if you need him, but not a guy you have to start.
Yeah, and I feel like, he benefits when the team is forced to pass a lot, and I don't know if they will be against Carolina, to be honest. So I'll probably pass on him this week as well. Now, Chris Olave stepped up big time. Jameis Winston can throw deep. Olave can run deep. You think that they connect this week?
I hope so. I'm ready for the Olave breakout. We had Garrett Wilson in week 2. Let's have Chris Olave in week 3, but I don't know if I'm quite ready to put him in my lineups just yet. I think he's okay if you need him, but not a guy I feel like is a must start.
Yeah, I agree. More kind of a flex option. I feel that's kind of how it's going to be. Like I said, all 3 receivers in the mix. You're never going to know exactly what to expect from him, but you can roll with him because you never know when that big play comes. DJ Moore got in the end zone. Not much else though. It's just kind of been the same guy, kind of average the first 2 weeks. Probably expecting more of the same week 3.
Yeah, I know if I say don't play him, people are going to dislike the video and give us crazy comments. So I'll say you can start him, but I'm not really expecting much in this game.
Yeah, look, New Orleans is a good defense. They're definitely looking really good in the secondary. He's not quite must sit. I think you can roll with him, but it would be like as a third option or a flex play at best. And then Robbie Anderson, we warned you. Like, sure, if you wanted to pick him up after week 1, but don't start him and don't expect much. I'm definitely passing on him this week.
Yes, I think I can say must sit on Robbie Anderson, and we won't get hate or dislike. So sit Robbie Anderson.
Ravens Patriots. We'll see what happens in this game. It'll be very interesting. The not very dynamic pass offense of the Patriots against the really horrible secondary of the Ravens. Well, first, let's go on the Ravens side. Rashad Bateman. I mean, come on. I think we have to start him every week at this point, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to say he's a must start every week. He had that huge play, but it wasn't like he caught 8 passes and was getting this huge target share. But I think he's a good start.
Yeah, very good start. Again, this Patriots defense isn't quite the same as last year. No J.C. Jackson, not a shutdown, type of secondary. So yeah, I'm definitely going with Bateman. Never making the mistake of fading him again. Now, Jacoby Myers, I'll be honest, he's interesting to me because, I hate to say it again, look at how the Ravens were carved up by Miami last weekend. A lot of injuries in the secondary. You feel Myers is a guy that you should put in there?
Yeah, I think he's a good start this week in a great matchup.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and be bold because I am going to talk about him in a different one of our videos. I'm going to say he's a must start this week. Lions and Vikings. Never again will we doubt the sun god. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm guessing we have to go with him against Minnesota.
Yeah, you've got to start him at this point.
He's putting up, historic numbers? That's a fact. Yes, you definitely have to start St. Brown. Never doubting you again. You got Justin Jefferson in there. What about Adam Thielen?
I think this week I start Adam Thielen. It's the Lions. Plenty of chances to score, so this feels like a good week to start Adam Thielen.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I don't think I can say you have to. Because Thielen isn't quite the same guy from a couple years ago, but this is definitely a good spot for him. You should feel pretty comfortable. All right, Eagles going against the Commanders. So Devontae Smith, you feel like he gets it going in week 3?
I talked about it in the running back one. I want as many players against this defense as I can get. In week 2, Chark had a good game. Reynolds had a good game. Amon-Ra had a good game. Swift had a good game. There's room here for Devonta Smith. I'm going to say he's not a must start, but a good start.
Yeah, Devontae Smith, very good receiver. Jalen Hurts, good quarterback. This is a bad defense. I think Devontae Smith's a must start for me in this matchup. And it'll be interesting to see how does Carson Wentz respond against his former team, one of his former teams. So going against Philly, man, he's been on fire. 4 touchdowns first week, 3 touchdowns the second week. What about Terry McLaurin? Let's start with him.
Not a must start to me anymore. There's too many targets here, but I still think he's a good start. Not the best matchup, of course. Probably going to get Darius Slay, but still a good start.
Yeah, I was going to say, unfortunately, he's probably the guy who's going to get Slay. Not a shadow situation necessarily. He is definitely a solid start. But yeah, it's sad to say he doesn't look like he's an absolute must start anymore on a week-to-week basis, but he should be solid in this game. Curtis Samuel, look, you added him. You started him last week, like we said. It paid off. Keep it going in week 3?
I think so. Not a must start, but I still think another good start.
I'll agree with you there. Good start for him. And then what about Dotson?
Dotson more like a flex if you need him guy. He's definitely the third man, on this target share ladder here. So to me, not a sit, but more of a flex if you need him.
Yeah, he's more interesting in non-PPR leagues because he's getting touchdowns more so than a ton of volume. Look, he benefits from the fact that, Terry McLaurin's drawing more attention. Dotson is getting lesser coverage, but not a must start. But I think you can definitely stream him or flex him. Chiefs going against the Colts. Let's talk about their wide receiver by committee, led supposedly by Juju Smith-Schuster, who really did nothing last week. Do you think he bounces back?
This Colts defense looks so bad. But man, Juju just has no ceiling in this offense right now. So he's like a flex in PPR leagues if you need him kind of guy for me.
Yep. I feel the same way. It's going to be like this, I think, every week with the Chiefs. It's like, throw a dart and see who do you think is going to go off. So Juju, I think he's a decent start this week, though, because of the matchup. MVS, man, look, I'm just going to go ahead and say no. I don't think I'm ever going to start him because he's just one big play or nothing. So even in a decent matchup, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I agree. I'm never starting MVS. He can hit that home run on any given week, but good luck guessing which week it'll be. So no to MVS.
And then Hardman, he's been getting in the end zone, but not going to get a ton of catches. What do you think? Can you at least flex him?
Yeah, another guy. He at least has a ceiling, unlike Juju. But another guy that you just really want to flex him if you need him. Not a guy you have to start.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you once again. Startable in deeper leagues. But that's about it. Texans at the Bears. Let's hope there's some offense here. You know, both passing games not looking very good. Brandon Cooks, I mean, he should be able to do something against Chicago, right?
Yeah, I mean, almost a must start this week. He's getting a ton of targets. It's a great matchup. I think you have to start Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, I think you have to start him. I mean, even though he didn't do much last week and Nico Collins was more involved, this is a much better matchup. So I'm going to say yes for sure to Brandon Cooks. Darnell Mooney, a lot of people are just ready to cut him. Forget start him. I mean, how do you feel?
Man, it's such a good matchup, but the Bears don't even throw the football. That's the problem. It's not that his target share is low. It's just they don't throw the ball. Even when they're down 2 scores in the fourth quarter, they're just running the ball. So even in a good matchup, I cannot trust Darnell Mooney. I am sitting Darnell Mooney.
We have to see something, and not just even a good game, just like a catch, like just something. I mean, it's really sad, but yeah, until we see something different, you cannot start Darnell Mooney for now, and I hope that changes. All right, Jaguars against the Chargers. It'll be interesting to see if the Jags passing offense can generate something against this much improved Chargers defense. So let's start with Christian Kirk, who has looked amazing, looked like maybe a league winner in the first 2 weeks. Can he do that against the Chargers?
I don't know. This is going to be the real test, right? This is a really good defense. I mean, even against Patrick Mahomes last week, they did a fairly good job. You can't sit Christian Kirk. You pretty much have to start him if you have him, but this is definitely going to be the test.
Yeah, that's the thing with how much attention he's getting. You have to start Christian Kirk. I mean, I'll say I'm not expecting like the same that he's done the first 2 weeks, but I didn't expect what he'd been doing the first 2 weeks anyways to begin with, so maybe he surprises me again. We'll see. And then a guy like Zay Jones, do you think that he has a chance?
No, I'm fine sitting Zay Jones against this defense.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's playable in some circumstances, but yeah, that's too deep. He's just kind of depth for now. Keenan Allen, probably, maybe will come back for week 3. Too soon to say, but if he does play, are you putting him right back in there?
Yeah, it's the Jaguars. If he's on the field, assuming we don't hear that he's going to be limited or anything like that, you have to play him.
Yeah, given his history, you might be a little nervous, but I do think you have to put him in if he's active. If he's questionable right up to game time, then maybe I hesitate and I just keep him out. But if he's a full go, you put him in there. Mike Williams came alive. Thankfully, week 2, you pretty much have to start him too, don't you?
Yeah, he's kind of like Gabe Davis. You got to start him because he has week winning upside every single week, and this is a great matchup, so you have to start Mike Williams.
Definitely. Josh Palmer, an interesting name. He did score a touchdown, didn't get a lot of yardage. So, I mean, I guess I'll ask on both sides. If Keenan Allen doesn't play, are you going with Josh Palmer? And if he does play, is Palmer even playable at all?
Now, if Keenan's out again, I think you got to roll with Josh Palmer. Once again, he got a decent target share. He got an end zone look. But if Keenan starts, I think you sit him.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I do like Palmer. I think it's obviously going to take a little bit more time before he becomes a reliable target. So I would only start him if Keenan sits. All right, Rams at the Cardinals. The get-right game did happen. It wasn't like a huge game, but Allen Robinson scored. Almost had another one. So against this Cardinals defense, you feel pretty good?
I feel okay. I mean, he's startable. I don't think Allen Robinson's a must-start, though, even in another great matchup. Only 5 targets last week. So he's startable, but not a must-start.
Yeah, I won't go so far as to say he's going to go off. He didn't really go off last week. You know what? I kind of feel like he's going to get even more targets again because, last week against Atlanta, they didn't need to throw the ball that much. So maybe they do need to this week. And honestly, I think Arizona's defense looks worse than Atlanta's. So I'll say yes, you do want to start Allen Robinson. And then on the other side there, Hollywood Brown. Thoughts?
I think you still have to roll Hollywood Brown out, but he's no longer a must start to me until we see a better connection between him and Murray, and we see this offense kind of come together better. So you can start him, but against the Rams, not a must start.
Yeah, Hollywood's kind of a weird guy because like you feel like you should start him every week, but he's not always going to go off, and you just don't know how to trust this offense. So I'll say very tentatively, yes, I do want to start him just because he always has that big playability. Still so many injuries, guys missing in that receiver core, so I'll say yes to Hollywood and hope for the best. All right, we got Aaron Rodgers going against Tom Brady. Alan Lazard did get in the end zone in his first game of the season. Do you feel like he can do that against the Bucs?
I didn't really like what I saw from Alan Lazard against the Bears. Barely involved. Did save his day with that touchdown, but against the Buccaneers, I'm going to sit Alan Lazard.
You know what? I think what we saw is exactly what I expected, and is exactly what we're going to see from Lazard. It's going to be like touchdown or bust. I really think he has a path to double-digit touchdowns, and I don't see a path to anywhere close to 1,000 yards. So in a standard league, you can play him. He's flexible, flex-worthy, but that's about it. And then the other side, well, we know Mike Evans isn't playing because he's suspended for a game. He's appealing, but you know how those things go. So let's assume Evans is not playing. Russell Gage, more interesting?
Not really. He's not getting like down the field. He's not really super involved. Maybe he was just coming off that soft tissue injury, but I'm still going to be out on Russell Gage for now.
Yeah, look, we both had high hopes for Gage. Thought he would be a lot more involved. For whatever reason, he's not. Maybe it's just that chemistry factor, or maybe it's the injuries. He should get more targets in this game, but I'm not going to count on it. So I think you can flex him, but he's not really tempting to me right now. And I'm going to go ahead and say Julio's not very tempting to me either, and I doubt he is to you.
Nah, if he even plays. I mean, already Todd Bowles saying, like, you know, I think he said it's unlikely he'll play or something like that. So, no, I'm not starting Julio Jones.
Yeah, you know, I have a feeling it's just going to wind up being Miller time again. It's going to be Scotty Miller, leading receiver for Tampa. Falcons taking on the Seahawks, so we are obligated to talk about this game. But look, there is an interesting receiver for Atlanta. It's Drake London, the rookie. He's looked really good so far. Definitely getting a lot more attention than Kyle Pitts. Sorry, Kyle Pitts owners. But how do you feel about London against the Seahawks?
I mean, against the Seahawks, I think you have to start him. He's the real deal. You got to start him in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, he's the top target in that team. It's a great matchup. Yeah, roll with Drake London. Why not? DK Metcalf, never really going to be a must start, but does this matchup change your mind?
In this matchup, I'll say he's flex worthy because he has a chance to score. Don't expect a ton of receptions or a ton of yardage, but maybe he finds the end zone. So I think if you need him, you can flex him.
Yeah, I still can't say must start for any receiver in this team, but yeah, he definitely can be started in this game. And look, Tyler Lockett went over 100 yards. He kind of looked like the old Tyler Lockett. You think he can do that again against Atlanta?
No, even with Russ, this is what Lockett would do, right? He'd have this huge out-of-nowhere game and then kind of go back to his old self. And it is a good matchup, so I think you can, just like DK, you can flex him if you need him, but that's about it.
Yep, I feel the same way. I'm never going to say these guys must start when they're attached to Geno game manager Smith. All right, the 49ers now have Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. What does that mean for Brandon Ayuk this week on the road against Denver?
It means I can't trust Brandon Ayuk again. Not only is it a tough matchup, Patrick Surtain did leave the game last week, but they're already saying he's day-to-day, so I expect him to play. Jimmy G, we know, is not the gunslinger that Trey Lance is. I got to sit Brandon Ayuk.
I'm going to say Brandon Ayuk too, and here's the thing. I'm not down on him season long because we don't know with Trey Lance if there was a connection there. We'll never know. And he wasn't bad with Jimmy G last year, but in this matchup, no. I mean, it's just not going to be, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game in general. I don't feel good about his chances to hit on a big play. I'm sitting Brandon Ayuk for sure. And on the other side, Cortland Sutton finally had a breakout game. Of course, it's only week 2. Do you think week 3 he can do that against the Niners?
Probably not. I mean, unless Judy is out, I'm not saying you're going to sit Cortland Sutton because Russ is still going to force feed him and Russ will chuck the ball down the field to him. He can always hit on a big play. But I'm going to say this week he's not a must start. He's just a good start.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. It's not that the 49ers cornerbacks are super scary. It's just, they're going to get some pressure on Russ. I don't feel great about that Denver offense in general. So just because Sutton got a ton of targets last week, if Judy plays, that might not happen. So I think he's startable, but not a must. And then if Jerry Jeudy plays, I'm guessing he's just kind of in the same boat, right? Like you can flex him, but you don't have to.
Yeah, good start, but not a must start.
And then Monday night, we're going to have the Cowboys at the Giants. So CeeDee Lamb, I mean, he at least showed signs of life. Do you think he's startable against the Giants?
Yeah, he's not a must start with Cooper Rush, but I think he's definitely startable.
Yeah, I'm going to have to back off a little bit on the panic meter. I'm not as worried about CeeDee Lamb. I don't love him, but yeah, you can start him against the Giants. Noah Brown, I mean, look, he's the leading receiver. He's been better than CeeDee Lamb for 2 straight weeks. Is he startable?
I think he's startable as a flex. I'm not going to say he's a guy I want as my wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3, but if I'm flexing him, I'm feeling okay about it.
Yeah, he's a guy I mentioned on the waiver wire video. Definitely somebody you should interest you. Don't have to force him in your lineup just because you picked him up, right? You don't have to assume he's going to outproduce CeeDee Lamb again. But yeah, he definitely can be played if you need him. And then on the other side, Sterling Shepard is the leading receiver for the Giants. Does that matter to you?
I mean, again, another guy in PPR leagues, if you need him as a flex, he's fine.
Yeah, I like Shepard. I don't love that he's going to always be attached to Daniel Jones. I don't love him, but you can flex him. It'd have to be a pretty deep league. And I guess the number 2 receiver there is Richie James. Could you flex him at least?
No, I'm 1 week, not enough for me to start him. I'm sitting him.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's done better than Darnell Mooney, but that's still not saying much. Yeah, you should be starting Richie James because who knows who it'll be this week. I know it's not going to be Kenny Golladay, who may not even be a Giant next week. All right, now you know which wide receivers you should be in or out of your lineup. Don't forget, you need to know about running backs, quarterbacks, tight ends, everything. We got you covered. Check out this playlist right here and all of our videos for week 3.